Evil Dead, the game, was something special, and you can ask anybody that knows me. This game had me since the trailers, and I will say it from here on out. This game could have been something really special if, Saber didn't give up on it. They didn't just stop making content on it, which is kind of crazy to me that they've only released one DLC update before completely giving up and shutting the game down. I mean, it had the players, it had the community, it had the base around to keep going, and they just gave up because they simply said they couldn't develop any more content, which doesn't make sense to me because they have all these movies they could have went off of. They have all of these books they could have went off of, and they somehow still say they didn't have enough content. That is what kind of drove me away from even buying another Saber Interactive game. The only Saber Interactive game I'm probably going to end up buying is the John Wick game when it comes out, because that is going to be a story game. But I was really disappointed when they shut this down, because I bought the most expensive edition for this game, where I got the pictures, the vinyl, a shirt, a signed paper by them, and it kind of all went to crap, and I was bummed because this game was really fun. There was so many upsides to this game and so many downsides, which I'm going to get into right now. Here is what Evil Dead the game did very well. The 4v1 asymmetrical was really well put together. They had a fear system, which is what we kind of never seen in asymmetrical horror, where if you're in the dark or you get jump scared, you get more fear added to you and you become more vulnerable to the killer. Now, you had to stay in the light to get rid of that fear, but if you got jump scared while you're a little bit outside the light, that fear builds up again. Now, the cool thing about this is the monsters weren't really able to go into the light. You were always having to do objectives outside the light, and that's what made you more vulnerable to the killer. The combat felt really smooth in this game, believe it or not. I love how you were able to earn cosmetics through a story mode and through multiplayer from just playing. There was literally no pay option where you had to buy cosmetics. That was with the DLCs, yes, but if you got the most expensive edition like I did, you didn't have to pay for a single dime. You got those for free, and they did really well on the cosmetics. The driving mechanic felt well. The party system felt well. The only problem I really had with this game was the server issues, where sometimes it wouldn't even let you invite your friends and you kind of had to play it solo, but they eventually did fix that later down the line before they said they were going to shut the game down. Gameplay loop was very unique in this game. You think it would have got repetitive, but it didn't, because every time you spawned in a different location, you had different objectives to do all the time. It wasn't the same stuff. Sometimes it even made you do objectives on your own because you had to. That is what made this game so special, because a lot of asymmetrical games, it spawns you in the same place, or if you do spawn in a different place, it's the same objectives, same gameplay, and it gets repetitive for a bit. That is what Evil Dead the game did really well, was it was always different every time you played a match. There were only a few bad downsides about this game, and honestly, the game felt perfect other than these two things, which were the server issues and the party issues. So that was about it when it came down to this game having issues, were server issues and party issues. Other than that, the game felt really well put together, and this could have been something special. It just sucks that we cannot play it anymore. They even eventually went ahead and added a battle royale type of mode, which honestly was also good, but I feel like that's when they kind of gave up. You could tell right there and then they were like, yeah, now we're done. We're just going to throw something out there that they could play, and we're done with content. That's what ruined it, because they gave up too easy. If they did not add that mode and put their focus into DLCs for different maps and stuff, this game would have been still going probably to this day. It just sucks that we're never going to see what potential this game actually had. And I don't want to fully bash Saber, but I kind of have to after this, because when they did World War Z, they kind of gave up on it. And then later this year came back and said, we're dropping a Walking Dead DLC, and then we're just going to dip again. That's kind of what happened with Evil Dead. They're like, we're going to drop this game. We're going to try and put our efforts into it. If it don't work out, we're going to throw another mode out there and just dip because we got our money. See, World War Z was pretty good. I liked it till they dipped on it just because they wanted money. Evil Dead, pretty good till they dipped on it just because they wanted money. Saber is controversial for those things, and it's really disappointing to see. I will say, though, they kind of redeemed themselves with Toxic Commando, because I did play that for a bit when it released. Had a fun time, but there's not much content coming out. I mean, they have released content, but not much. So I'm kind of getting that fear that they're going to dip on that soon too. Now, can they redeem themselves here with Hellraiser the game and John Wick? Yes, probably, but only redeem themselves in the story-wise genre, because online games obviously are not working for them. They're having trouble. They're not really doing well when it comes to it. And I feel like Saber could be a good story genre company instead of these online games, because when it comes to online games, we see what happens. Now, I don't want to say Saber is as bad as Gun Interactive, because Saber honestly only did bad when it came to 2 online games. Their biggest games that were hyped up, they did bad on, sure. But Gun Interactive is very controversial because F-13 situation, that went down the drain. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, when they shut that down, they said, we kind of had the ending already. And then when people said they wanted an apology, they came out and just dissed their own fan base, their community, and said, I don't know what you need to an apology for, but if you need one, I'm sorry that your life is so sad. Like, you don't say that to your fan base, bro. Which is another reason why I am so glad IllFonic is stepping into their place and being like, you know what, we haven't shut down a game. Sure, we might not have pushed content out for Killer Clowns from Outer Space, but we're going to step into that spot, redeem themselves, not Gun, themselves, and show Gun how you actually make a game. Sure, they might be the co-publisher, they might help us out a bit, but they have no say in what IllFonic does with this game. Yes, I will give Saber their props there. You guys are far better than what Gun Interactive has done. I don't want to diss Gun too hard, because F-13 wasn't their fault, and they did a good job when it came to F-13. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that's all on you guys, and you just kind of lost respect from everybody in the community. But Saber, you guys are a much better, development team than Gun Interactive. Anyways, that's going to be it for the video. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, turn post notifications on so you do not miss another horror video. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out, and I'll see you soon.